this lesson, you will learn about component state. In Module 2, you have learned about component that refers to an icon, graphic, shape, or a symbol that will be reused throughout designing interface. When designing for a mobile application or website, there are certain elements that you will reuse throughout your design, such as button. Adobe XD is well known as a prototyping tool and its ability to make your prototype behave almost like the real application or website. In this lesson, you'll be able to create a mouse pointer rollover effect button or slide in effect by using component state feature. This lesson consists of 3 different component state, which is action button with hover effect, toggle button with hover effect, and the last one, checkbox with hover effect. So let's try to practice the first one, which is action button with hover effect. For this button, which I renamed it as a download, I created this button using the rectangle tool, which the shortcut is R. You can create this by dragging, and I make it slightly rounded, which you can either click from this corner, slightly drag it to the middle to make it rounded. If you would like it to become full round, you can just drag it until the end of the corner. And also I've included the text for the download and added a simple icon for the download. And then I've created this button in gray color. So in order for us to apply component state, usual like we have done previously for component, make a selection for the whole element of this download button. You can right click, make component, or the shortcut is Control K, or you can also go to Property Inspector on your right corner. Under the component section, there's a plus icon, which also add like the same thing to create or make a new component. Click at this plus icon button, and automatically the blue outline here will change into the green outline with a diamond icon on the top left corner, which indicate that this is a new component that we have created for the download button, which you can also see under the component in layer here. Currently, it's renamed as a component 15. You can double click and rename it as download button to make your workflow becomes much more systematic. Now, in order for us to utilize component state for this download button, make a selection. Under the component, currently this component named as default state. To create an action button for this download button with hover effect, click at this plus icon, which is also known as add a new state. Once you click at this, you have 3 options. The first is new state, second is hover state, and the third is toggle state. Since we are aiming to achieve a hover effect, choose hover state for your second state and just hit the button enter. And if you would like to rename this hover state button, you can do so as well. At the moment, I just hit the enter button. So under the hover state, we're going to make a slight changes as in the color. So I'll just double click for the color inside of this, and I'll eyedrop this reference color that I have created at the bottom here by choosing this eyedropper under the fill section and click at this color. Now let's make another changes for the typeface. Let's make it bigger and slightly adjust the position of the download icon align it vertically. Now, what happened with this action button with hover effect is previously we have the original or default stick button which comes in a normal size. So once the user hover or move along their mouse on top of this button, it will start to change into this color with a bigger typeface size. So let's try to adjust the position a bit to the top. Now let's try to see the default and the hover state that we have created so far. You can also view this in design mode because we haven't created any interaction for this button yet. So in design mode, I just click at this desktop preview. Now, once I remove my mouse on the top of this downward button, it started to change into a bigger typeface with green color. So this is a simple button that you can create for your interface which have an element of hover effect. Next, let's practice to create toggle button with hover effect. I've created this simple toggle button using two different tools, which is rectangle, shortcut is R, and ellipse, shortcut is E. And these two will be color reference for the component state later for this toggle button. Now, once you've created the toggle button, make a selection and click this plus icon to make a component, and it will be reflected under the component section on your left corner, which currently renamed as component 50. Let's double click at it and rename it as toggle button. Now, this toggle button currently under the default state. Click this add state and choose hover state because we're going to have a hover state that mimic the situation whereby the user, once they move their mouse on top of this toggle button, the color will start to change. And let's rename it as hover state. And I will double click in this light gray color. Pick the eyedropper for the fill and choose the darker color here. So this will be the color for the hover state selection, and click this add state one more time to add a new state, which will add like a tab, which means once the user tap or click at this button, it will change the direction of the ellipse from left to right, and as well as the color will change from dark gray to green color. Now choose new state and let's rename this state 3 as that. Hit the enter button, double click at this color to make changes for the fill color from dark gray to green, and let's change the position of this ellipse from left to right side. Now select everything and check one by one. Default state, the color is in light gray. Hover state, change to darker gray. And once user click at the tab, the position will change for the ellipse as well as the color will automatically change into green color. So you can try to view this state that you have created so far in design mode by clicking at this desktop preview. So click at it, and if I hover around on top of this button, it started to change from light gray to dark gray. But once I click at this toggle button, nothing will happen because we haven't created interaction for this toggle button. To do so, let's jump to prototype mode. In this prototype mode, click at the toggle button Now we're going to set the interaction for default state and also tap. For default state, trigger, let's choose tap, which means the user need to tap or click at this toggle button in order it to shape or move to the tap state. And for the type here, let's remain as auto animate. Destination, let's go for tap. Easy, let's choose ease in. For duration, let's minimize it to 0.2 seconds. And let's set the same interaction for the tap. So click at this blue arrow, set the interaction. Trigger, remain to tap. Type, go to animate. Destination, let's set it back from tap. If user would like to untick this toggle button, it will bring them back to default state. So choose default state. And for easy, let's remain easy in, duration 0.2 seconds. Now, let's try to view the toggle button iterations that we have created so far by clicking at this desktop preview. So as usual, once I click at this button, it will change into green color with the position of the ellipse move from left to the right corner. And if I click at it back, it will change to the previous default state. So you can try to practice this toggle button in your interface. Now, let's create checkbox with hover effect that works almost the same with toggle button. I've included a simple checkbox created using rectangle tool and add a simple tick icon with please tick 1. And these two colors will be a reference color for the second and the third checkbox later. So once you're done creating your checkbox, a selection and a component, or the shortcut is Control K. Get this, and it will automatically appear under the component section on your left corner here. So currently it's renamed as component 60. Double click at it and let's rename it as checkbox. So this checkbox currently under the default state, and we need to hide this tick icon. So under the opacity, reduce it to 0% and make another selection. Click add state and choose hover state. Hit the enter button and let's change the box color to darker gray. Take the eyedropper tool, set the color, make sure to hide the tick icon and make another selection and with the same step as in add state, choose new state and let's rename it as step, enter, and let's change the darker gray color to green color. I to green and sure to increase the opacity for the tick icon to 100%. Now let's double check one by one. For the component, default state currently in lighter gray, hover state, darker gray, and the user hit at this step, it will appear the tick button with the changes on the box from darker gray to green color. Now we can start to view your checkbox with hover effect in design mode. Make sure to click at the default state first and click at this desktop preview. So once I hover around my mouse, it will start to change from light gray to darker gray. Once I try to click at this box, I tap it because we haven't set the interaction for this text box yet. So let's go back and jump into prototype mode. And in here, make sure to set interaction for default state first. So under the trigger, choose tap. Under the type, remain auto animate. Destination, once the user click at this default state, it will bring them to the tab page. Now, destination, choose tab. For easy, let's change to snap, and duration, let's minimize to 0.2 seconds, and repeat the same process for the tab state. Click at this interaction once, and as usual, it will be XD. Remember, your previous setting has a trigger type as well as easy and duration remain the same things. You just need to change the destinations only. Click at this, and once the user change their mind, if they would like to untap or untick this tick button, it will go back to the default state. So let's set the interaction to default state. Now let's test the interaction that we have created so far by clicking at this default state first and click at this desktop preview. So once I click at this, please pick one, let's start to change and to gray color, and the tick icon will start to appear. I decided to untick this checkbox, goes back to the default state. You can try to practice this checkbox for effect in your interface. In the next lesson, you will learn how to record your prototype.